They left as superstars and came back as absolute freaks of nature. From body transformations that shocked the locker room to surprise returns where jaws dropped before the bell even rang, this is WWE wrestlers who came back absolutely shredded. Drew McIntyre. Let's start with one of the most legendary glow-ups in modern WWE history, Drew McIntyre. Back in 2010, Drew was known as the Chosen One, a solid performer, but still rocking that skinny, lanky frame. Then he got released. But instead of fading away, Drew hit the grind harder than ever. He spent years on the indie scene, lifting, training, and transforming his body. And when he returned to WWE in 2017, boom, the dude looked like a Scottish god carved out of granite. 6'5", 265 pounds of shredded mass, veins popping, shoulders like boulders. McIntyre went from mid-carder to WWE champion, and his body told the whole story. Jinder Mahal, the most shredded WWE champion of all time. Jinder Mahal, let's be honest, nobody saw it coming. Jinder left WWE in 2014 looking like your average guy. 3 years later, he returned looking like a statue made of solid steel. Seriously, his traps had traps. His arms were enormous. His vascularity made fans do a double take. People couldn't even believe it was the same guy. Love his title reign or hate it, Jinder's transformation was undeniable. Insane. Edge's return at Royal Rumble 2020 was emotional, but it was also physically mind-blowing. After 9 years out of action, a triple fusion neck surgery, and doctors telling him he'd never wrestle again, Edge came back looking better than ever. Ripped arms, vascular forearms, shredded abs. It wasn't just a comeback, it was a warrior's resurrection. Edge didn't just come back for a nostalgia pop, he came back in the best shape of his life. Batista. You'd think after conquering Hollywood, Batista would slow down, but when he returned to WWE in 2014 and again in 2019, he looked like a tank, even more shredded than his peak Evolution days. At nearly 50 years old, the man came back with monster traps, vein-lined arms, and that signature animalistic intensity. Whether it was facing Triple H at WrestleMania or walking through fireworks in a custom suit, Batista proved that legends age like fine wine and steroids. Just kidding. But here's the truth no one really talks about. Transformations aren't always permanent. Today, Batista looks very different. He's slimmed down considerably, trading muscle mass for a leaner, more cinematic frame. And that's not a bad thing. It's a reminder that wrestling physiques are often built for short bursts of performance, not lifelong maintenance. Batista's body tells two stories: the beast who dominated the ring, and the man who walked away from it, reshaped by time, health, and new priorities. Sheamus's body transformation didn't happen during a break. It happened during a reinvention. In 2020, the Celtic Warrior slimmed down, leaned out, and got absolutely shredded. Gone was the bulky brawler. In came a defined vascular cardio monster who could go for 30 minutes without gasping once. He credits Celtic CrossFit, insane dieting, and pure Irish willpower. And let's be real, he looked better than ever during his banger-filled feud with Gunther. Bobby Lashley. Okay, Bobby Lashley has always been a freak, but when he returned to WWE in 2018, he looked like he was built in a lab. Shredded shoulders, 0% body fat, muscles on muscles. At 40 plus years old, Lashley came back looking even more dangerous than his first run. He looked like a superhero and fought like one too, going on to become WWE champion and dominating the Hurt Business era. Gunther. Once known as Big Daddy Walter, Gunther was a 300-pound ring general. Then he showed up on SmackDown completely transformed. The weight was gone, the abs were visible, and somehow his chops hit even harder. His transformation stunned fans, but he didn't lose an ounce of in-ring dominance. Gunther went from NXT UK legend to Intercontinental Champion with one of the longest reigns of all time, and his physique was proof of the evolution. The Rock. We can't do this list without The Rock. When he left WWE in the early 2000s, he was big, strong, athletic, and undeniably charismatic. But when he came back in 2011, he was massive, and by the time he returned again in 2024 for his Hollywood heel run, he looked unreal. Veins like ropes, traps like mountains, arms, chest, back, everything looked like it had been sculpted by a team of Greek gods. Say what you want about his in-ring schedule, but visually, the man looked like a walking action action figure. His 2024 return wasn't just a comeback, it was the final form of years of physical evolution. At nearly 52 years old, The Rock proved that discipline, structure, and a little bit of insane drive can make you look like you're carved out of granite. Is it natural? Is it sustainable? That's another conversation. But in terms of sheer shock factor, The Rock's transformation is one of the most jaw-dropping in WWE history. Triple H. There are comebacks. And then there's Triple H at Madison Square Garden. In 2001, the game tore his quad, one of the most brutal injuries a wrestler can face. His body gave out. He disappeared from WWE for 8 long months. No entrances, no promos, no sledgehammer. But when that glass-shattering riff of the game echoed through MSG in January 2002, it was pandemonium. The pop was deafening. Grown men lost their minds. And then he stepped through the curtain. Gone was the Hunter from 2001. This version looked like he was carved out of granite. Massive arms, chiseled chest, traps for days. A transformation so intense, it felt like he'd respawned as a final boss. Triple H wasn't just back, he looked like a mythical warrior, and you could feel it in the crowd. Goosebumps, energy, that raw feeling when wrestling is just right. The game didn't walk to the ring, he owned it, and when he raised that water bottle and launched it in the air before his signature pose, that arena was a volcano, because this wasn't just a return, it was a statement. The King of Kings had fallen, rebuilt himself, and come back more dangerous than ever. Roman Reigns. The tribal chief himself deserves a spot here, but not just for looking good. Roman Reigns reinvented himself physically and mentally in 2020. Back in his Shield days, Roman was already in solid shape, but hidden under a tactical vest, his physique didn't get the spotlight. It was more about presence than performance. He had size, sure, but he wasn't ripped. Then came his return in 2020, after a long hiatus due to COVID-19 and health concerns. And this wasn't just a new attitude. Roman came back transformed. He ditched the vest and stepped into the ring looking like a complete monster. Shredded abs, wide shoulders, a leaner, more athletic build, the kind of physique that screams main event attraction. He looked more like a heavyweight UFC fighter than a pro wrestler, but that didn't happen by accident. In a podcast with Men's Health, Roman has talked about dialing in his diet and training with laser focus. He follows a strict meal plan, often based around clean bulking. He also revealed his workouts are structured around intensity and functional strength, not just size. Lots of compound movements, supersets, sled pushes, kettlebell circuits, and cardio intervals. He trains like a hybrid athlete. He even admitted that the transformation wasn't just about the ring, it was about respecting his body. After 2 battles with leukemia, Roman said he now trains smarter, not harder. It's not about ego lifting, it's about long-term performance and health. The Big Show. For most of his career, The Big Show was exactly what his name promised. Big, 7 feet tall, over 400 pounds, a walking skyscraper. But in his later years, Big Show didn't just slim down, he evolved. Gone was the lumbering giant from the Attitude Era. When he showed up on AEW in 2021, jaws hit the floor. Fans weren't looking at the same Paul White anymore. He looked lighter, leaner, and somehow faster. This was a man who had spent decades being the immovable object, but suddenly he was moving with a sharpness we hadn't seen in years. The gut was gone, his arms looked tighter, his frame was still huge, but the excess weight, gone. In an industry where time breaks most bodies, Big Show defied expectations. He didn't just get in shape, he rewrote the ending of his own story, because sometimes the biggest transformation isn't about gaining muscle, it's about shedding what's holding you back. Braun Strowman. When Braun Strowman first burst onto the WWE scene as part of the Wyatt family, fans weren't sure what to expect. A former powerlifter with a monstrous build and limited wrestling experience, his sheer size raised eyebrows, but also doubts. But that version of Strowman didn't last long. As the months rolled on and he broke away from the Wyatts, Braun didn't just find his voice, he reshaped his entire identity. The bulky, immobile giant transformed into a leaner, more defined powerhouse. The weight dropped, the muscle sharpened, and the monster among men became one of WWE's most visually striking athletes. From a lumbering rookie in 2014 to a shredded main event force, Strowman's transformation isn't just physical, it's proof that hard work can rewrite your legacy. Jey Uso. Jey Uso was always a tag team guy, quick, agile, and lean. But when he stepped into the spotlight as main event Jey, he didn't just change his role, he changed his body. Gone was the lighter frame, in came the muscle, the definition, the power. Chest broader, arms tighter. Jey looked like a singles star. And when he stared down Roman Reigns, he didn't look like a sidekick anymore. He looked like a threat. This was no tag team act. Jey Uso transformed, and the main event finally fit him. Randy Orton. At one point, it felt like Randy Orton was done. After over a year and a half off the grid, sidelined with serious back injuries and undergoing spinal fusion surgery, even the most loyal fans began to whisper the unthinkable. The Viper might never return. WWE stopped name-dropping him. The commentary team moved on. The silence was deafening. But then, Survivor Series 2023. That music hit, and the crowd exploded. Orton didn't just walk back through the curtain, he erupted through it, looking like a living Greek statue chiseled out of vengeance and veteran wisdom. His traps had traps. His shoulders looked like granite. People expected a legend to return. What they got was a monster. Not just bigger, not just stronger, but dialed in. This wasn't 2004 cocky Randy. This was a final form Viper, scarred, evolved, and hungrier than ever. And in that moment, we realized something. Randy Orton didn't just survive a career-threatening injury. He came back in the best shape of his life, and maybe, just maybe, more dangerous than he's ever been. Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero wasn't known for being the biggest guy in the ring. He didn't need to be. He was all timing, all precision, a technician with soul. But in the late 90s, behind the curtain, Eddie was struggling. Personal demons, a torn pec. For a moment, it looked like his best days were behind him. Then he came back. In 2002, Eddie returned to WWE, and the transformation was shocking. He looked massive, bigger arms, a wider frame. He was still lean, but now with power in every step. And more than that, he came back with fire, a swagger that radiated off his body, the same technician, but now with presence. And by 2004, Eddie Guerrero reached the mountaintop, WWE champion, one of the most emotional title wins in company history, a moment burned into every fan's heart. His transformation wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. He became the best version of himself, stronger, smarter, sharper, and yet that body, that comeback, that intensity came with a cost. In 2005, Eddie's heart gave out, but what he left behind was unforgettable. A transformation not just of body, but of legacy. Damien Priest. Before the lights, titles, and pyro, Damien Priest was at one of the lowest points of his life. In 2013, struggling with weight gain and battling personal demons, he found himself stuck in a version of life he didn't recognize, much less enjoy. But instead of staying down, he chose to rise. Through grit and relentless dedication, he reshaped not only his body, but his future. Re-emerging on the independent scene as Punishment Martinez, his transformation wasn't just physical, it was a total rebirth. That journey led him to NXT and eventually to WWE Championship Gold on the main roster. By the time he debuted on the main roster, Priest looked like a cross between a gothic vampire and a Marvel superhero. The slick ponytail, the leather jackets, the tattoos, and now the shredded torso that looks like it was forged in fire. Today, Damien Priest isn't just a key player, he's living proof that reinvention is possible. This isn't just a glow-up, it's a survival story, and Priest turned his pain into power. Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair was already a queen by bloodline, by championship gold, and by presence. But then she leveled up. When Charlotte returned to WWE after time away, she didn't just walk back into the spotlight, she stormed into it, looking like an entirely different athlete. Gone was the lean, graceful frame from her early days. In its place, a sculpted, imposing powerhouse version of the queen. Her shoulders looked broader, her arms more defined, her legs explosive, and when she stepped into the ring, you felt the difference. Whether she was clashing with Rhea Ripley or standing tall on SmackDown with gold in her hands, Charlotte didn't just look like royalty, she looked like a Terminator in a tiara. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes didn't just rewrite his career, he redefined his body. From Stardust to the American Nightmare, this wasn't just a gimmick change, it was a total reinvention. When Cody left WWE in 2016, he was seen as a solid mid-carder, talented but not the guy, and frankly, his physique reflected that. Lean, athletic, but not imposing. By the time Cody stepped into an AEW ring, fans couldn't help but notice he was tanner, thicker, and more defined defined than ever before, that screamed main eventer. But it was his WWE return at WrestleMania 38 that showed the world. This guy is next level shredded, defined, cut, jacked, and with a cape to match. The American Nightmare didn't just finish his story, he looked amazing doing it. Luke Gallows. Luke Gallows has always been the heavy hitter, but when he returned to WWE, he looked sharper than ever. Still massive, but now leaner, tighter, and way more defined. His frame was cut, his presence more intimidating, and every movement felt heavier, like he wasn't just a brawler, but a weapon. This wasn't just Gallows the muscle, this was Gallows, refined, and absolutely dangerous. Akira Tozawa. Often overlooked in the spotlight-heavy world of WWE, Akira Tozawa has quietly undergone one of the most impressive physical transformations in recent memory. Once carrying extra weight during his Dragon Gate days, Tozawa reinvented himself after joining WWE, trimming down, shredding up, and emerging as one of the most ripped athletes on the roster. Despite being sidelined into comedic roles, his dedication to evolving from heavyweight to cruiserweight proves he's far more than a punchline. Tozawa's journey is a testament to perseverance, discipline, and untapped potential still waiting to be unleashed. These transformations are more than just physical changes. They represent the unwavering spirit of WWE superstars. Their journeys inspire fans worldwide, proving that with dedication and hard work, comebacks can be both triumphant and transformative. So tell us in the comments, which transformation shocked you the most? Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss more such amazing wrestling content only on Smackverse.